Please, yes, share it and I will begin and introduce you, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I think you can see my screen now.
Yes, yes, it is visible. Thank you very much. Thank
Mm.
you. Yes, peace be upon you. Nice to meet you again in our 56th webinar for the Arab English Association. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Shawqia Hawawre, the president of the Arab English Teachers Association. I'm so glad to be with you for another time with a new guest speaker from Egypt, Mr. Moustapha Zaky, and we thank him very much for accepting our invitation to join us for the second time. And we hope that it won't be the last time, inshallah. Thank you very much,
Sure,
Doctor,
inshallah.
for joining us. And also, I won't forget to welcome my colleagues and the
Okay.
participants from all over the world that are active in participation in our webinars. This webinar is about a very important topic, which is the importance of critical thinking. And as you know, critical thinking is the ability to effectively analyze information and form a judgment. And also to think critically, we say that you must be aware of your own biases and assumptions when encountering information and applying consistent standards when evaluating sources. So, before we begin, we want to introduce our guest speaker in a few lines who has a lot of achievements. For example, Mr. Moustapha Zaky is an EFL supervisor, course designer, and teachers trainer at the Ministry of Education. Mr. Zaky is a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert, MIEE, and he is a teacher educator in the British Council, NTTP. Also, he is a STEM trainer and supervisor. He is a Relo mentor trainer at AUC. Also, Mr. Zeki is an international trainer in Arab Gulf. Also, he is in the Union for Training and Consultancy. And Mr. Moustapha Zaki holds a Bachelor of Arts and Education from the Faculty of Education, Alexandria University. He has a Diploma of Supplementary Studies in English Literature. In addition, he is an MA researcher at English Literature. He delivered a lot of professional presentations and training workshops for more than 500 hours at different local, national, and international events and conferences. MashaAllah, congratulations of these
Thank you.
distinguished achievements, Mr. Mustafa Zaki, and thanks
Thank you.
another time for being with us. We are
Thank you.
so
It's my
glad.
honor. Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Of course, as I said, I am Shawqia Hawawre. Also, thanks God, I have a lot of achievements. For example, I am an MIEE for the third time. I am an ambassador for many apps and platforms, like, for example, Bansi, Quizzes, Nearbot, Kahoot, Wakelet, etc. And also, I am a winner of many local and global initiatives and many more. Thanks a lot for being with us. You can now begin, and then after a few minutes, I will apologize for you in order to show them the short video that I prepared. Okay? You can
No
begin.
problem. Thank you. Thank you for this introduction. Hello and welcome, dear colleagues everywhere. I hope you are doing great. And let's dive into our topic today, inshallah. Um, Today's topic is so important from my own personal point of view because in the 20th century, the 21st century, it's very important to know how to think and how to help your students to think critically. And this is the title of today's session. And let's go through. Do you have any problem in hearing my voice?
No, you are audible.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully, by the end of this session, all the participants will be able to understand what critical thinking is, and also get to know the importance of uh, critical thinking in teaching language. You know, we are going to connect the critical thinking as a skill and how important this skill is by the way we teach English in our schools. Okay. Second, we need to learn how critical thinking skills can benefit learners in various academic and professional settings. Okay. And also, we are going to get familiar and gain more knowledge on how critical thinking skills can enhance problem solving and communication, creativity, and independent learning skills. So there are group of skills that are connected together and very important to know about them all. And we need to identify various ways of incorporating critical thinking skills into English language teaching. We are going to see some activities. Okay, so I want you to get ready to some tasks and some work. We are going to work together. And also, and finally, we need to inspire language instructors, teachers of English to promote critical thinking skills in their teaching approach. So these are the topic. Hello and welcome again to this presentation on the importance of critical thinking in teaching English as a second language. Basically, critical thinking, as you know, has become very essential skill that is highly valued in many academic and professional settings. And as such, it is essential to incorporate critical thinking into language learning, and it promotes higher order thinking. We are going to talk about a lot of things in a short time. But let's get started with you by asking you a question. If you have to define critical thinking in 2 or 3 words, what are you going to say? Please share in the chat box and tell me
Yes.
your personal definition of the word critical thinking in very short words. Okay, in a few words, 2 or 3 words. What is critical thinking?
Yes, so please, you can either raise your hands or write in the chat box what is
Yes,
a critical thinking. Yes, please be active because the topic is so important and it is
yeah,
very useful for us as educators.
sure. It's very important to share because such sessions are useful when we all share together and exchange ideas, not just passive listeners. Try to have something to say and something to do
Yes,
in the session. So
yes,
my question is,
yes,
what is critical thinking? Do you have any answer, Mr. Shawqia, in the chat box? Yeah,
yes. In the chat box, Miss Aliya says thinking out of the box. Miss Mervat adds analyzing information. Agreed.
great. Yeah,
Aliya adds thinking in different perspective. Okay,
yes,
great answers.
that's a great.
Miss Zubaida writes, yes, Miss Zubaida writes to evaluate information whether it is right or wrong.
Excellent.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank
Yes,
you.
please be active. As the doctor says, we are here in order to exchange ideas.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, let's
thank
have
you.
a look at this definition and compare what you have on a screen and what you have in mind. You said great things in the chat box. You wrote good definitions. Can you compare this with the one on the screen now? You have just a minute to read the definition of critical thinking on the screen.
Yes, if you want one, we can choose one to read it aloud in
Just
order
give
to
them,
engage them.
yeah, 30 seconds to read silently in order to, I
Yes,
need everyone to read, not just one. I
yes,
want them all
yes.
to read it.
Thank you. Okay, okay, thank you.
Have you finished that? Who can share reading this definition aloud?
No, I can.
Okay, go ahead. Could you give us your name, please? Your name,
My name is Hossein.
Hussein. Where are you
Yeah.
from, Hussein?
No, I'm from Iran.
Iran. You are welcome. Go ahead, Hussein.
Thank, thanks a bunch. Critical thinking is a process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, and synthesizing and evaluating information to reach well-reasoned conclusions and solutions. It involves asking questions, examining assumptions, evaluating evidence, and considering alternative perspectives. Critical thinking
Mhm.
is not about being critical or negative. Instead, it is about being open-minded, objective, and logical.
Thank you, Hussein. Thank you so much. So, if we want to sum up this definition in few words, the first thing we need to emphasize here is that the critical thinking is a process. It's a process that goes on in minds for some time in order to give you a result. So it's a process, and this process is connected to thinking actively, skillfully, trying to conceptualize. And the word conceptualize means to have an opinion or a concept about something, about an issue. Okay? And also, in critical thinking, we need to apply what we have in hand in order to come out with results. And during the idea or the process of critical thinking, we need to
الو
analyze.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
هلا سلامات ست شوقية.
يا أهلا وسهلا بحضرتك.
عليكم السلام. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حياكم الله يعطيكم العافية.
أهلا وسهلا يا أستاذ، حياك الله.
بلش اللقاء هسه هو على الخمسة؟
Yes.
نعم نعم الآن. تفضل.
طبعا أنا دائما بحطه على موقع عنا وبدعو كثير معلمين وبيجوا وبدخلوا عليه الرابط.
شكرا، ممكن تشارك، ممكن
إن
تشارك
شاء الله.
ونستمع للأستاذ. شكرا
إن
لك يا
شاء الله.
أستاذ.
إن شاء الله.
تفضل.
ماشي الله يعطيكم العافية.
تفضل. الله يعافيك
So
يا هلا.
let's agree upon the definition of critical thinking that it's a process, and this process is relating to connecting some skills together in order to come up with some desired results or conclusions. So it involves asking. It all starts by asking questions. When you have something, just like a problem, for example, you start asking yourself or asking people around you, why, what, how, and what if, and why not, and when did this happen? Okay, a lot of questions start arising in your brain in order to find out solutions or at least explanations to a problem. Then you start analyzing data. So if you have something in mind about the problem or the issue, you start analyzing. You know what the skill of analyzing means? It means that you try to find relationships between things or try to answer questions why this thing is here and why it's not in other places. So this is called analysis, you know. Okay, so now we come to the conclusion that the critical thinking is a process, and this process needs asking questions, also analyzing information and evaluating evidence and situations and considering alternatives and perspectives. It's very important to notice the word alternative, because in most cases we have problems, but we don't have answers to these problems. So we need to find other alternatives. Anyway, thank you for the definition. Okay, I want you to ask another question and reflect together about this question. Why do you think critical thinking is important? Why is it important? I want you to think silently for just 1 minute, and then we are going to share different ideas. If you would like to speak, just raise your hand, and Mrs. Shawqia is giving you the mic. And if you want to use the chat box to type, it's okay. So, but please, in all cases, we need sharing. My question is, why is critical thinking important? This is the title of our topic, by the way. Okay.
Yes, Bara'a. Yes, Miss Bara'a, please open your mic.
Peace be upon you all.
Thank you.
The
Peace
same
be
for
upon you. I hope all of you are doing well.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Since
God.
it is mentioned in the definition of critical thinking that it happens objectively and open-mindedly. So I myself will accept criticizing me or criticizing my lesson or criticizing my piece of writing open-mindedly, and I will welcome all the missing points that I forgot to cover. To err is a human, means to make mistakes is a human thing. We are not perfect, we are not complete, so we might make mistakes. And when I receive the critical thinking objectively, without any attitude, without any challenging or giving me negative feelings. So I will try to overcome the missing points. I will try to compensate for the missing parts of my work, and I will do better.
Okay, thank you, Bara, for this ideas. Thank you for sharing your ideas with us. But I'd like to emphasize something important here. When we talk about critical thinking, we are talking about a process that goes in the mind in order to find solutions to problems. But I'm not criticizing other people. When we talk about criticism, this is something else. Criticism is giving other people feedback. Okay, no problem, no problem.
I was driving. I'm sorry. I missed.
No problem. Okay, there's nothing to be sorry about. We are just exchanging ideas. So when we are criticizing other, we are giving them feedback. But here we need to think in creatively, in order to find solutions. So our topic is focused mainly and basically on the process of thinking. Okay? You know that in today's fast-paced and complex, the world in which we live nowadays is so complicated and so fast-paced. You know, everything that happens quickly. So if you are an employee and if you are an employer, you need people who are skillful, they can do things well, and they can do it fast. So it's not like in previous days or in the past when things used to go step by step slowly. Now everything is going just like this, so quickly. So I think if you don't have the skill to think, to make decisions, to solve problems, to communicate, and do these things quickly, you will not have a place in the world of jobs or in the world in which we live nowadays. So it's very important to learn how to think quickly. Let's have a look at the screen and read silently for a minute. Why is critical thinking is important? We have 4 important points. I want you to read them quickly, please. Can you see the screen well? Is it clear?
Yes, yes, it is visible.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Hussein, please unmute yourself.
Mr. Hussein, share us the first point only, only the first one.
Yes.
No,
Please open your mic.
I should read the first one.
Yeah, only the first one. And give me your reflection of feedback about what you are going to read.
Okay, enhancing problem solving skills. Enhancing problem solving skills. By practicing critical thinking skills, learners can develop their ability to identify problems, analyze information, and develop solutions. You know, from my point of view,
Yes.
this criterion would be really important because we would give them a really good insight how to think, how to behave, and how to do the practices. This way, they would follow their teachers in the better way because they are thinking more critically.
Excellent. So if we are teaching students to think critically, this means that they are going to learn and develop their abilities to identify the problem, to know about the problem, and then analyze the given information in order to develop solutions. Have you got the process, how it goes? First, we have a problem. And when we talk about a problem, it means any situations that we need to take as a decision about. So it could be a math problem, it could be a scientific problem, or even everyday life problems. First, we need to think about what amount of information we have about this problem, what are the questions that we need to ask and get answers in order to help solve these problems, and start analyzing the information. After the analysis of information, we can develop solutions. So this is a very important skill to learn on the level of our students and also on the level of teachers themselves, parents, people in society. All of us need to think in this way, to think critically, okay? Who can read the second point and give us reflection about it? Any volunteers?
Yes, Miss Aliya was raising her hand.
Go
If you
ahead,
are
Miss
ready,
Aliya.
please, Miss Aliya, go ahead. Miss Aliya.
Yes.
Murtada.
Yes.
Yes, open your mic, please.
Yes,
Murtada,
good evening. Yes,
Good
do you hear
evening.
me?
Yes.
good evening.
Yes, sure.
Welcome.
Okay, point two, improving communication skills.
Mhm.
Critical thinking skill can help learners to articulate their ideas and opinions effectively, as well as understand and evaluate the opinion of the others.
What do you think
Uh,
of this skill, Murtada?
yes, it like when you think about the learners and their ideas, try to make them communicate uh, among themselves. For example, make them interact for student, for the learners in the class. Make them interact, like asking and answering the questions among them.
Great. That's great. Thank you. So I want you to imagine the traditional way of teaching in the past, when teachers used to give information to the students and students are listening to their teachers attentively and passively. They are not doing anything but listening. You know, in these situations, students cannot articulate any ideas or opinions effectively. I do remember myself many years ago when I was a student at middle or high school. I used to read and study what teachers ask me to do. But when it comes to giving my own opinion, I used to have a problem with that issue because I'm not accustomed, I'm not familiar with talking about my own opinions and other people's opinions. So when we teach young learners how to be critical thinkers, we need to help them to give their own ideas and evaluate their mates or their colleagues' ideas. So it's a very important process. Okay? Okay. We need another volunteer to read point number 3 and explain it to us.
Yeah, good evening. Can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
The third point is developing creativity.
Yes.
Critical thinking skills can stimulate learners' imagination and creativity by encouraging them to think outside the box and come up with innovative solutions. I think
Great.
this
What do you
is
think?
Yeah, I think if I should reflect on this, these are very important skills. Thinking outside of the box is something which we should teach our students because the problems what we used to have once upon a time are different now what they are facing, and the biggest
Sure, yeah.
problem is of climate change. So they should know how to tackle this, and in language, I think this will definitely help them to bring and come up with new ideas with lot of
Excellent.
creativity. Yeah,
Excellent.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
the opportunity.
Could you give us your name, please?
Yeah, I am Alia Nas and I am from India.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you. Okay, so when we emphasize the skill of creativity, we help our students to, through critical thinking, to stimulate their imagination, to activate the imagination button in their brain in order to be creative, also to get encouraged to think outside the box, to find solutions that nobody else has thought about. Okay, thank you. And who can share us point number 4?
Yes, please, other
Okay,
participants, we want you
yes,
to be more active in this session. Please,
sure, yes.
can I choose one?
Okay,
Yes. Dua, please, Miss Dua.
Yes. Number 4, fostering independent learning. Critical thinking skills can empower learners to take charge of their learning process and become self directed lifelong learners. I think that critical thinking help learners to search more, not to be biased with the curriculum. No, not to be only read what's inside the book, to empower their minds and give them the chance to search for more information. Just not just read and memorize what's inside their books or what's inside their curriculums.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Dua. Yes, you know that in point number 4, if the students got familiar to thinking for their own, this means that they are going to be autonomous learner. And the word autonomy means independence. It means it's a big word that shows learners who are responsible for their own learning. It's very important. And this is one of the fruits we get from teaching students critical thinking. So I'd like to thank you all for sharing your ideas. And let's move on to another important point.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Hussein wants to add something.
Go ahead, Mr. Hussein.
Thanks a bunch for
Yes.
having me in this conference.
Wow.
What I've just learned is, when we are a critical thinker, we would have interactive skills more, okay? And it depends on some criteria. I think one of them would be the type of the class. If we are a teacher whose class is student center, we would engage our students' opinion and out of the box more, okay? But the
Thank you.
teacher center
Yeah.
classes,
Yeah.
students cannot think out of the box, yeah?
Sure, yes. So this is the point we were just starting to talk about. Thank you, Hussein, for sharing this. And my next question is, how can I change my classroom into a critical thinking classroom? And this is,
I think if we engage them, if we grab their attention to the class and make some funny activities in the class, I think we can grab the attention.
thank you. It seems that Hussein has seen my slides. He's just talking what I have in mind exactly. So the critical thinking classroom has some features and characteristics. The first one of them, the first one is engaging. Thank you, Hussein. He was just talking about engaging. When students get engaged in different activities, this means that they are going to think for themselves. They are going to be critical thinkers indeed. What do you expect the second feature is? Thank you, Hussein. It's student-centered. If you are a teacher who focus on helping students to do things for themselves, not just listening to what you tell them to do. There is a big difference between telling someone what to do. This is called, just like spoon feeding. If you have a baby and you are feeding the baby, okay? But what we need in our schools is that you don't tell students what to do, but just teach them, help them to know how to think for themselves, how to see for themselves, not what to see, how to see it, okay? And it's very important to focus on the process. The lesson should be a process or a project focused, not just token, okay? And finally, encourage your students to inquire, to ask questions, okay? Because by asking a lot of questions and analyzing these questions, we are going to come up with great conclusions, okay? And we need to focus on higher order thinking supportive, okay? So if you are a teacher and you are supporting your students to think according to the higher order level of thinking, which is called HOTS in the Bloom's taxonomy. If you sure you know about Bloom's taxonomy and the higher level. And the point that is very important for you as a teacher is to help your students to do the tasks. Change your lesson to be task and project-based lesson classroom, okay? So I want you to look at this picture and tell me what is the difference between these two types of classrooms. Here we have two.
Should I share?
Okay, just a minute, Hussein. Give them time to share ideas with us. Okay, I want you to have a look at these two types of classrooms and tell me what is the difference and which one do you prefer and why. You have 30 seconds. And of course, I want more people, more colleagues to share us ideas. I want you to look closely and deeply to the two pictures because there is a lot to say. Are you done? Have you finished? Okay. If you want to share us, just raise your hand or write or type in the chat box, please.
Yes, Murtada, please go ahead.
Yes, Murtada.
Yes, the picture, as much as I can see,
Yes.
it is two methods that the teacher follow in the classroom to explain the lesson for the student. What I prefer is the flipped classroom, which make students within groups and help each other in order to produce a useful and meaningful the lesson. And the traditional one, which is the traditional classroom, is a bit older and which is ancient way that follow the teacher in order to communicate the meaning and the lesson. But the second one, which is the flipped or grouped, it requires time for the. For example, if I enter the class and I found the student uh, range stage followed by stage, so I wanna make them within a group. So I have to make time for them. And
Mm.
for my own experience, I am a teacher, and I have a school. In my school, I don't have time to make the student within groups because it requires time and more time. This is
Okay. And have you noticed the position of the teacher in the first
yes,
traditional classroom?
yes. The traditional is teachers like standing aside and explaining, but the flip, he is like part of the student and make them more interact with the lesson.
Okay, thank you, Murtada. Do you know what we call the teacher who stands in front of his students and lectures them and give them information and they are just listening, not doing anything but listening?
Yes,
This is called
yes, lecturer, lecturer.
lect.
Lecturer.
Okay, okay. If you
Yes.
look at the picture, you will notice a phrase written above the teacher's head. Have you seen the arrow?
Yes, teachers rule uh, stage on
Sage.
on the on the stage or stage on the stage.
Excellent. Yes. They
Mhm.
call it sage on the stage.
Yes.
It means that a
Control.
wise person.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. A
Yes.
wise person who has a lot of information
Can't
and
share.
controlling everything within his hands, and all the students are just passive listeners. They
Mhm.
call this a sage
Lecturer.
on the stage. Yes, the
Mhm.
lecture mode or the sage on the stage.
And the
Okay,
second lecture, teachers will guide on the side, like
excellent.
Mhm.
But when you are helping students in their work and their tasks in the groups, this
Mhm.
means that you are a guide on
On the
the
side.
side. So
Yes.
try to remember this. Which teacher do you prefer? I think we all agree
Yes.
that
Flip one.
the second one, the flipped classroom, is the best. Okay?
Yes, I agree. Yes, I
And
completely agree.
the idea of telling information all the time and telling students what to do is a traditional way of teaching. It's not the best thing to do with your students because it is simply does not create a critical thinker student. So we need to help students to be critical thinkers. Okay? Some people call this sage on the stage, or they call it the jug and the mug. Have you heard this terminology before? The jug and mug. They
Can you write
consider,
it?
okay, okay, just give me a second. Where is the chat? I'd like to get into the chat to write this word with you. Where is the chat? Yeah. I think I need to escape this.
Yes, there is chat. There is chat. Yes.
Uh,
Or you can write it in the messenger and I copy it, please.
okay, the
If you
jug
don't find the chat. Yes.
and the mug. You know, the jug is a type of container
Yes.
where you can keep a huge amount of liquid. And the mug is also a type of container, but it's small. So which one is the teacher and which one is the student here?
Maybe the jug is the teacher and the mug is the student.
Of course,
No,
yes.
no.
So yeah, it's
Yes.
true. The jug is the teacher because he
Yes,
is
yes.
very big and he has a lot of
Yes.
information. And the student is called mug. It's very small, and he goes to school. He goes to school because he needs information from this jug. What do you think about this way of teaching? Do you think
Yes.
it's
Mr.
it's
Hussein.
it's
Mr. Hussein.
Should I?
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
What do I think about this? I'll go ahead. But should I say what do I think about this? Okay, we are like a jog that we are full of information. We would be
Yes.
a wise person, but our
Excellent.
personality should be creative, okay, should be innovative for students and weird sometimes because it grabs their attention and they mostly will be passionate to listen to our voice, to know about us, okay, so they will listen to us, it will be good, and they will use our information, I think
Yes.
it's
Okay. Thank you, Hussein. Okay. Let's go to some very important activities. If we followed as teachers, we are going to be helping students to be critical thinkers. So if you want to change your classroom from the traditional way into the critical thinking mode, please think about different activities. And I'm going to show you some of them. The first type is called icebreaker. I'm sure you all heard about this word before, icebreaker. And if you looked at the picture, can you see the picture? There is
Yeah, we
a
can.
cube of ice, and there is some kind of axe, and which is used to break the ice. So what is icebreakers? Can you write in the chat box or say something about this word?
Yeah, I know it completely.
Okay.
So, icebreaker is a kind of leading activity at the first of the class that we use it with different fellowships like a chart, a picture that can give a personal, that can get the students engaged into a board, okay? And we will
Okay.
have like something, a chart and some signs in the chart to show what is our personal information and let them know about each other. This would be a good task to get more acquainted with the class without talking too much.
Thank you. Thank you, Hussein. So icebreakers is a type of a lead-in or activities that we can use at the beginning of our lessons or even in the middle or when we have a free sometime in our class in order to make students think and learn and enjoy at the same time. So these activities have a lot of different purposes, and I'm going to show you just one example. Okay, the activity or the icebreaker that we see on the screen now is called this or that. It's a type of game, okay? But it's very important to help students to think critically and also can use to evaluate information and also make decisions. For example, if I have some questions and these questions are all either or, something or the other thing, this way or that way. So for example, if I'm talking to my students and I'm asking them to tell me cat or dog, for you, cat or dog? The question means, do you prefer cat or dog? Do you like cat or dog? Which one is your preference? So here students should think and choose one of the two options they have and then give me reasons, because I'm going to follow up the questions with my students if one of them said dog. So I'm going to ask him or her, why do you prefer dog? Okay. And if he said cat, I'm going to say, for example, and why do you think other people prefer dogs? So it's a way of giving questions to your students in order to think and give reasons, defend their ideas. Okay, they learn how to, how to convince others of their own point of view. Okay, have you got the idea here? Because I just want to tell you the idea, not practicing a lot, because the time of the session is somehow limited, and I know that time flies quickly. So I want to give you more ideas. If you like them, you can try them in your classroom. If not, it's okay. There's no problem at all. Okay? Have you got the idea of this or that? a kind of game. Any questions so far?
No, but Shawkat is raising the hand. You can open your
Okay.
mic and go ahead, please.
Okay,
Shawkat,
Shawkat.
Ali, also. Mr. Shawkat, open your mic, please. If you have any question, any reflection, then go ahead, please, Doctor.
Okay. Ms. Shawqia, can I ask you, summer or
Yes.
winter? Summer or winter? You personally. Summer. Why? I want you to notice the conversation between Ms. Shawqia and myself
Yes.
in order to show you how this activity goes with your students. Why summer?
Yes, because summer is a lovely season. I like it very much. I don't want to stay at home for a long time. I want to
Excellent.
go for trips, journeys, to see my friends, to go shopping, to visit many places, for example.
Okay, Shawqia, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word summer? The first
Sama,
thing that.
maybe the S, yes, the S for sun, for example, the
Mm-hmm.
U for unity, the M
Okay.
for merging with others, the E
Okay.
for integrity, the R for running, maybe, if I
Excellent.
can.
Shawqia, do you know that
Yes.
there are many people who love winter?
Sorry?
Do you know that there are many people who prefer winter
Yes.
to? Why do you think they
Yes, of
prefer
course.
winter? Yeah, why? Why do you think?
Yes,
If you were one of them,
because yes, because maybe they don't like the hot weather, and also they don't want to go from place to place. They like staying at home. They like, for example, the atmosphere at that season. Of course, for example, being with the whole family inside the
excellent.
house for a long
So
time,
thank.
chatting. Yes,
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Shawi. Have you noticed how many
thank you.
questions have I asked here? And we talked for some time about a topic that was not prepared before. This helps students to think and also to defend their ideas. Have you noticed that or not? So this is a good type of activity that can be used as an icebreaker on activity to help students learn about critical thinking. Are you following? Hello? Is it okay
Are you
now?
sleeping?
Uh-huh.
Yes, Mr. Mustafa is asking you if you are sleeping or you are following him.
Yeah.
Please clap, send emojis, write in the chat box in order to see if you are following him or not.
Okay. We have another type of activity, which is also great. I personally love it so much, which is called fact or opinion. Fact or opinion. Okay. I'm sorry, I haven't written the title of the activity here. It is called fact or opinion. Would you please, Ms. Shawqia, could you write it in the chat box for them? Fact
Yes, of course.
or opinion.
Fact.
Okay. In this activity, we have some statements and phrases. And I ask my students to read and decide whether the first sentence or the first statement is a fact or someone's opinion. Of course, you know the difference between facts and opinions. Okay?
Of course.
Okay,
Yes.
for example, who can read the first sentence and tell us whether it is a fact or an opinion. Any volunteer?
Yes, Miss Dua.
Okay, go
Yes.
ahead, Don.
Okay, giant tortoise can live to be over 150 years old. This is a fact.
Excellent.
Great.
I'm going, now Dua is going to act as my student, okay, Dua?
Okay. Okay.
And she answered the question and said this sentence, first she read the sentence aloud, this is number one, and then she answered the question. She said it's a fact. I'm going to ask her, Dua, how did you know
Mm.
that this is a fact? How did you know?
Because it gives an information. It
And
gives an
this information
evidence.
is true, okay?
True, yes. Yes.
Dua, could you change it? Could you change the sentence into an opinion sentence?
Okay, I think a giant tortoise can live for a long time.
Excellent. So what did you do to change it into an opinion sentence?
I just what I think because this is my opinion.
Okay, and also you changed the number that shows the
The
fact.
number, yes.
Say a
Yes.
long time, I think it's a, or I can say a giant tortoise is so beautiful when it moves.
Yes.
This is an opinion. And why we
Yes.
call these types of sentences opinion sentence, because it is different from Mustafa to Dua to somebody else.
Yes.
Everyone has
Yes, but
their own opinions.
Mr. Shawkat, sorry
Yeah.
for interruption. Mr. Shawkat says in the chat box, no, it's opinion because it is not necessary that any giant animal can live for 150 years.
But it's not any animal. It's specific. We are talking about the tortoise, which live for more than 150 years. This is a fact.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes.
anyway, this kind of discussion, Mr. Shawkat says something different. It's okay. So we need to encourage students to say their opinion. But the most important thing, everyone says his or her opinion. He needs to convince us to, to they call it he needs to show evidence, to give evidence. Okay. Okay, Mr. Shawkat, could you read number 4, for example, and tell us whether it is fact or opinion? Can you see it? Number 4. Mr. Shawkat, are you there?
Yes, yes. Mr. Hussein.
Okay, number 4, Mr. Hussein.
Yes, Mr. Hussein, go ahead.
He's not there, I think. Anybody else? Anyone raising their hands? Okay.
Yes, anyone?
No one. I'm going to read it. Number 4 is parrots are prettier than bluebirds. What do you think this sentence is? Is it a fact or it is an opinion?
Opinion.
Okay, why is it opinion?
I think
Because
because maybe there are a few birds, another kinds of birds that are prettier from my own point of view. I
Excellent,
think.
because beauty is something that differs from one person to another. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, of the person who sees things. I might see something beautiful, and Mrs. Shawqia, for example, sees it's not beautiful. So when we say something is prettier than something else, this is an opinion statement. Okay? Thank you. Have you got the idea of this activity? I'm showing you different activities that help critical thinking in your classroom. Okay, another important type of activities is the comic strip interpretation or prediction. Can you
Yes,
look at
please,
the
can you
picture?
enlarge your slides? Can you enlarge your screen? Someone
My
is
screen?
asking about that.
Okay,
Yes. Yes, now it is visible, but before, yes, it was very small. Thank you.
you are welcome. Is
No,
it okay now?
yes, thank you. Yes, yes, okay now.
Okay, can you look at the picture and tell me what we should say about each one of these pictures? There are 6 pictures, and I think they tell us a story. The pictures tell us a story. Can you predict or anticipate? Can you expect what happens or what is happening in these pictures in front of you? Anybody wants to share?
If anybody wants to share, please go ahead. Naam, yes, Miss Iman. Yes. Can you repeat your question another time, please?
My question is, this picture has six inside pictures. They are telling us a story. It goes from number 1 to number 6. And I want my students to know how to expect or how to predict what happens in the picture. This is the type of activity I want you to learn about.
Yes, in order to encourage thinking. Okay. Miss
Sure,
Nahed
yes.
says he invites, yes, Miss Nahed says he invites her to dinner. He prepares something. It was supposed to be cooked while it is on the table.
And what happened at the end?
Sorry. Yes, please.
Could you mute yourself, please?
Yes,
Somebody's running music.
I will mute all. I will mute all. Then you will open your mic, please. Please keep
Okay.
yourself muted. Yes. Thank you.
Can you hear me now? You hear me?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Yes, you are audible. Now
Okay.
someone is raising the hand.
Go ahead.
Faiza, please go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Ms. Shawqia. Thank you for this contribution.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
From my own view, I think that there is an invitation for dinner to prepare something for dinner. The woman asked for having something for his dinner, for her dinner, and the boy, yes, he prepared something like he imagined that it will be a beautiful thing or an interesting thing for the woman, but until he prepared the item or the order, the flame turned down. So once she raised the outer dish, she found, yes, it's switched off, or there is nothing to have.
Okay.
She got disappointed or frustrated, and also he waited for another reaction, but he couldn't find. I think it is less frustrated feed. Yeah.
And how did you know? How did you know she was frustrated?
From
Which
the last,
picture?
yes, I think it's number 5, but there is wrong number, missing number picture.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
yes, it
Thank
is
you.
number 5, maybe for the previous one.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's between
this is
5. Yeah.
this is the question I
Yes.
want to ask you about. What do you think of this type of activity for your students? Do you think it is good, it is convenient, it is suitable for them or not? This is something very important to talk about. And
Yes,
if you
maybe
From my own
yes.
point of view,
yeah,
very beneficial exercise for brainstorming and let them get more ideas, to get to know more about their way of thinking, imagination, and also it encourages them to express what they can see in front of them,
excellent,
in a,
yeah.
because we don't have a model answer
Yes.
for this. No, it's mere imagination. Yes.
Yes, it's imagination, it's
Yes. Yes.
prediction. You might see
Yeah.
Yes.
something and
No
somebody else
brain.
sees it different.
Yes,
Okay,
I think also it is a very nice and engaging thing or exercise, but nevertheless, there are some challenges,
sure.
especially for our students whose language is not the English language, whose native language is Arabic, for example. So they lack
Okay,
the vocabulary if they want to, for example, to reflect on these pictures, they
mm.
sometimes they are suffering from the shortage of vocabulary, which is related to these pictures. So this is
Okay,
my
and Mrs.
opinion.
Shawqia, do you have solutions to this challenge? Do you have any ideas?
Yes,
If my
maybe
students
I can
lack,
divide them. Yes, maybe,
okay,
yeah, I can divide them into groups. I put them in groups in order to work in the team spirit of different levels, of course, in order to help each other. And then I appoint the time or the fixed time for them. Then they can share their opinions either by speaking aloud or by writing, for example, then choosing a captain or a leader for the group in order to talk or to reflect about
okay.
these pictures.
Any other ideas? If we have challenges, and of course all of us are going to have a lot of challenges in our classroom, we need to think the same way we need to teach our students to think critically. We need to think outside of the box, as they say. So if we have some kind of a challenge like this, I can choose other pictures that could be easier or simpler for them. This is one thing. Okay. Another thing, I can help them by giving them some of the difficult words that they might not have. So I can help them by giving these words
Yes,
on the board, for example. Or I
the
can
bank of
ask,
vocabulary.
sure,
Bank of
yes.
vocabulary. Yes.
Oh, okay. And also I can give them part of the sentence. For example, if the students are expected to say that she was frustrated because she didn't expect the dinner to be in this way, this is a long sentence for them, and there is some kind of difficulty in producing this sentence. So I, as a teacher, can think of a way to make the sentence easier and, you know, applicable for my students. For example, I can give them, I, I'm sorry, she was, and then give them a space because she, then give them another space. So I can help them by giving them part of the sentence or the verb, the adjective or the adverb and so on. So there are many things I can do to help my students, but don't give them the answers. Let them think for themselves because we are helping them to think critically. Okay. Another activity, okay, and this is one of my favorite. I always ask my students to look at the picture and tell me what's going on. So you can choose a picture and you have to be selective in your choice because some pictures are very expressive. You can talk a lot about the picture. So you give them a picture in which they can express, they can find ideas, they can talk freely. So, and then ask them, hello guys, could you look at this picture and tell me what is going on? For example, can you see this picture now?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I want you to look for 20 seconds and tell me what's going on in this picture. Have you finished?
Yes,
Any
Mr. Hussein.
volunteers? Okay, go ahead,
Mr.
Mr. Hussein.
Hussein.
Ms. Shawqia, if you have a prize for the participants who share, Mr. Hussein is one of the prominent candidates to get the prize.
Yes, yes, I will,
Very
inshallah.
active participant. Yeah.
Yes,
Mr.
surely.
Hussein, go ahead.
There are certificates, of course, at the end of the session. I will send a form, then they can fill it, and then they will have immediate certificates, inshallah.
Okay. Where is Mr. Hussein?
Mr. Hussein, yes. Then Miss Asma,
Okay.
Miss Asma Hassan. Miss Asma
Yes,
Hassan.
I am with you. Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
I think there might be some kind of solar eclipse.
Okay.
I think maybe they saw something flying in the sky, and some of them paid attention to it, and other they cannot see it or they don't care about it.
Excellent.
Yes,
Which one is not caring about anything?
I think the gentleman in the middle, he doesn't
Mhm.
care. The four people behind
Because he
him.
cares about another thing. Yes, Miss Asma. Because maybe
Yes,
he cares about another thing.
yes, I
Maybe.
think. Yes.
And why do you
Yes,
think
thank you.
the other four persons, the other four people, two of them are raising their hands over their eyes, and the other two are not doing the same thing? Why do you think they are doing this?
Maybe two of them are enjoying the sunlight or the sun rays. I think it's more like a solar eclipse because the solar eclipse makes some people afraid to look at the sun, and some of them.
Excellent.
Uh, yes, that's the first
So,
idea that came to me actually. The solar
okay.
eclipse.
And which couples do you think are enjoying more? The ones raising their hands on their eyes, or the other one?
I think the Chinese and the blonde in the back,
Hmm.
they are يعني, having so much fun. And
Okay.
the gentleman with the blue T-shirt and the girl with the white shirt, I think they are afraid of the sunlight that might harm their eyes.
Okay. So this is another activity that gives a great opportunity for your students to talk, to imagine,
Yes,
or to give ideas, and also to find reasons, to give reasons why they think
of
it is
course.
like this. Okay. Have you got the
Okay.
idea behind this activity or not?
Yes.
Do you think it is convenient for for your students? Do you think it is going to be fun for them? You can choose
Uh,
easier pictures for if you are teaching young learners. You can choose very simple pictures and ask them to tell what is the story behind the picture. Okay.
Yes, Miss
It,
okay.
Faiza
Thank you.
is raising her hand.
okay.
If she wants to add anything, please, Miss Faiza, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you again. From my own point of view, for the previous picture, I found that there are a group of people who actually are waiting for the bus, maybe, and suddenly they heard a voice of an air helicopter over them.
Mhm.
So one couple or two people are looking at the helicopter over the sky to find what's happening, and other are looking to know more about the name, the brand of the helicopter, maybe. But
Okay.
the young man in front of them, as my colleague said, he's not caring about what's happening, but he's still waiting for the bus, maybe.
Or
That's it. But
do you
if
think he
I
may be thinking about something else? He's busy about some kind of problem or looking at someone in this direction or that direction?
Perfect. But if I can use, or if I may use this activity with my students, as you said, I'll provide some adjectives to let them choose which adjective related to which couple or which people in order to let them
Excellent.
sentences.
Yeah.
Yes,
Great idea.
who
Yeah.
yes, if you were in their shoes or in their room, which place you will prefer to be? Tell me about your feeling if you are in their place. I think so.
Okay.
I think it is also a brainstorm or an encouraging activity to let my students form meaningful sentences using adjectives and feelings.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you. Yes. Thank you. Mr. Rashad says also they maybe they are looking at an airplane. From my point of view, Mr. Mustafa, I
Yeah.
think also maybe this gentleman who is looking at the lady, maybe he wants to distract others' attention. He said something to them, look up to the sky, look up to the sky, there is something happening, in order to have the chance to look carefully at that lady.
Oh my God. Oh
That's
my
it.
God. I haven't thought about this interpretation, but I think this interpretation never comes from a man. It must be a lady interpreting it. Okay, thank you, Miss Shawqia, for
Maybe.
this. Okay.
Thank you.
Another activity, and I think you are going to love this activity. It's a great one. It is called vocabulary recall race. And although we are after higher level skills or higher order skills, but we can use some of the activities at the lots or lower order skills in order to help students to think in a critical manner. For example, this type of activity is called vocabulary recall race. Okay? And if you are going to apply this with your students in class, you are going to choose one of the alphabet letters and tell your students, write in your notebook all the words that can you name starting with the letter B or the letter G or the letter K. And the students start remembering all the words they have or all the words they know or the words they can think of starting with these letters. Okay? So this is a way of helping your students to think, to remember, and then to evaluate and revise after that. For example, if you are going to apply this in our session today, I'm going to give you just 1 minute to think of as many words as possible as you can name, starting with the letter B. Okay, and tell me in the chat box all the words you can name or remember, mention them, starting with the letter B. Okay, you have just 1 minute. Go ahead. Have you got the idea?
Please write in the chat box if you have got the idea.
Yes,
Yes
I'm
or
good.
no? Right, just write yes or no in the chat box. Yes, they send some send emojis.
Okay. And write in the
Yes,
chat box the words starting with the letter B, which
yes.
you can
Miss
remember.
Dua starts. Miss Dua starts. She wrote ball, bell, boat, box, but, book. Great.
Excellent.
Shawkat adds best book, beautiful butterfly.
Excellent.
Lamia adds book, bag, blue, black, peach, baby, bag, bench. Naila says bright students, big aims, beautiful views. Thank you.
Okay. You are great. Thank you. And you cannot.
Miss Zainab says the picture is not so clear. No, Miss Zainab, the picture is so clear. But maybe if from your side, the internet access maybe is so weak, please leave the room, then you can rejoin. Shawkat adds beach, bubble, bunch, black, blessed button, below, bata, beta. Sahira writes ball, bell, boat, box, but, book. Dua adds bar, banana, bread, bone. Great.
Excellent.
Zubaida, bat, basketball, box, bat. Sarah, book, belt, boy, blue, perfect, baby, beautiful, best. Great ideas, great
Yes,
words.
of
Thank
course.
you.
Do you think such ideas and such activities are going to help your students to improve their critical thinking skill? If so, you can take these activities and look for others on the internet. You can find bunches of activities. We can share different websites that can help you get more resources about such activities and others. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay, another activity which I personally love it. It is called wordplay. Wordplay. It is simply if you want to teach your students how to think autonomously and critically, ask them to imagine they live in a world where there is only 10 words. Only 10 words. You can use these 10 words as much as you want, but you cannot use any other words. Only 10 words. The question is, which 10 words would you choose and why? Again, if you haven't got the idea, I'm talking to you just right now as my students in classroom. I'm telling you that now we are traveling to an island. And on that island, you are only allowed to take 10 words with you. You can use only 10 words. Think for a minute about what are the 10 words you are going to choose to take with you on the island and why. Okay? Think and write in the chat box and raise your hand to say, I chose these words because or for a specific reason. Okay, just 1 minute.
Yes, there are many answers. Shawkat writes one more activity, one student. Cool, another tell the word starting with the last letter of the last word. No, that's not it. Naila, yes, no, how?
Yeah, here.
Yes, Naila writes, yes, no, how, what, why, here, there, nice, bad, wonderful. I wrote pleasure, prayers, blessings, novels, eat, relax, funny, images, imaginative reading. Faiza says, writes a book for free reading as well.
Okay. I want those who wrote on the chat box the 10 words to take the mic and tell us why they choose these words specifically. Can you share
Yes.
that?
Who
Can you
wants to
share?
begin? Yes. Faiza writes 10th toothbrush, toothpaste, bello, kava, towel, coffee, water, prayer, mat. Can you elaborate on your answer, Miss Faiza?
Yes, Ms. Shawqia.
Yes, go
I
ahead, please.
Yeah, I said the tent to live in during this journey on the desert. Toothbrush and the toothpaste to use in order to keep myself clean or to keep my mouth clean. A pillow to sleep on and covers to cover my body with. A towel if I upload or I clean my hand. And the most important item in my day is coffee to drink coffee. Water is also very important for me if I need to have shower to pray or to do something like the basics of my day. And also the prayer mat as a kind of adding more words to my list, but I can pray at any place. I added a book for my free reading as well.
Okay, but
This yeah.
what would you say if you wanted to eat? You haven't selected a word for food.
Yes, for me, if I have coffee, there is no need to eat.
Okay. Oh my God. For how long? For how many
Uh,
days?
Maybe for 3 days.
But you are choosing the words that you
Oh,
are going to use for whole life.
Whole
I want you.
life?
Yes. My question is that your language, your vocabulary will be only 10 words, no more.
Mm.
You are going to use these only 2 words. What are the 10 words
What
you are going to select?
what about to start having the journey like Robinson Crusoe and to have something for something to eat? Yeah,
Yeah,
look for
sure.
something to
Yeah.
help me and go for this journey like
So I
Daniel
think
Defoe.
I think we all should think about the words that would express our basic needs.
Yes.
For example,
Yeah.
eat,
Mm.
water,
Mm.
okay,
Yes.
and so on. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for sharing this.
You're welcome.
yes.
Oh,
Miss
and
Mirvat
anybody
adds, my
else?
dreams. Miss Mirvat Abdelhamid writes, my dreams to achieve without any obstacles, the Holy Quran, mat,
Yeah.
clothes, food, pillow, box, torch, water, pictures to remember my happy days, and net. Zainab writes, map, watch, food, water, phone, confidence box. Zubaida writes, help, hotel, food, mall, friends, family, mosque, nature, transportation, police. Lamia
Okay,
writes tent, water, coffee, phone, book, soap, because they are important for me.
sure.
Yes.
You know, if we are applying this activity with our students, we need to ask them, why did you choose this word? Okay, in order to give them the opportunity to explain, to give reasons. And this is a way of helping them to improve and develop the critical thinking skills. Okay? Is this type of activity convenient for you and your students or not? Do you think it is fun? Do you think it is
Yes.
useful? Okay?
Yes, please
So
write in the chat box.
if so, go ahead and apply this with your students.
Yes, Miss Lamia writes sure. Zubayda said yes.
Okay, our next activity is one of my favorite. It is called Spot the Difference. And spot the difference is when we have two pictures and ask students to look at the pictures and find the differences. Okay, I think most of us know about this type of activity. It's very important for your students to look and investigate, which means to look closely to find the slight difference between the two pictures, and also to express or speak in English, to say in picture number one there is something, and in picture number two there is not, the same thing is not there, and here we have one window, but here we don't have any windows at all. So this is a very good way to express. Have you got the idea of this activity, or would you like me to show you an example? It's called Spot the Difference.
Yes.
When we have pictures and we ask our students to look at the pictures and find 3 or 5 differences, things that is here and it's not there. Okay.
It is a funny exercise. A
Sure,
activity.
yes, but because we are flying out of time, I try to make it fast. Okay. Another activity is called transformations. Transformation is a very good way of helping students to find the relationships between things from the different perspectives, from the idea of colors, shapes. Okay. For example, if you looked at the picture in front of you, you will find numbers 1 to 3. In number 1, we have a heart, or number A is a big heart. Number B is smaller heart. And here we have a clover, some kind of a tree. I want you to find what is the picture number D will look like from the other match. Is it going to be a heart or a clover? And if it is a clover, it is going to be big or small. It is going to be white or black. Okay, so here I'm asking my students to look at the relationship between the first two hearts, A and B, and then expect what is the relationship between C and D will be look like, or will be like. Have you got that? Is it easy or difficult?
Write in the chat box if you understood or not, if it is easy or not. Yes, we are about to finish. Don't be worried.
Yeah. So here we have a big heart, A, then a small heart, B. And C is a big leaf or clover. So we need here in D, what do we need here? Hello? Have you got the idea or not? I'm going to choose.
Write in the chat box.
Yeah, the small clover, number 3. It's number 3 here. Is that right?
Yes.
Excellent. Yes. How did you know that the answer will be? Yeah. How did you know that number 3 is going to be the correct answer?
Yes, number 3, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
If hello again.
Hello.
If it's a pattern, so it means that it will be repeated again.
Excellent.
Yes. So if we have in the beginning of number one a big white heart and then a small white heart, then a big white clover, then it is expected to have a small white clover.
That's great.
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
Have you noticed how much amount of thinking and expressing your ideas and trying to convince other people with your own ideas in that activity?
But I think at the same time there might be other choices.
Like what?
Like, for example, if I ask the people in front of me or my students to expect what will come later, so D might be a small black clover, for example, but on one condition, that it will keep repeating. But if the question is only to expect what comes next, like to make D, so mostly it is a small white clover.
Sure, yes. Okay, let's have a look at number 2. If we have a dark clover, number A, and then a small box or cube, number B, then we have a white clover, number C. What do you expect, number D? What comes next?
Number 2, I think.
Number 2, yes, with the white small cube.
Excellent. So it's the relationship between things. This kind of ideas or activities called transformations, how things change, or what is the relationship goes like in the process of things following each other. Okay, this is a type of activities that might be convenient or not convenient to your students according to their age, to their attention span, according to their social and cultural background, many things that has to interfere with these activities. Okay. Another one is called a pen, a sheet of paper and a pen. And I'm going to explain it in short. I can ask my students to prepare a sheet of paper and a pen, okay, and draw things that they don't see, but I'm going to describe it for them, okay? So I can ask my students, please get ready, have your sheet of paper and your pen, and listen to me and draw everything I say. And I start telling them, I now see a big square, for example, a big square. Inside this square, there are 4 rectangles, okay? The first rectangle on top from left is very close to the edge of the square. And there is a circle in the middle. And I go on with my description, and the students go on with the drawing. Have you noticed that? Have you got the idea? And the students who draw the shape or the picture the teacher describing is the winner. Is going to be the winner. Okay? This type of activity helps critical thinking to grow and develop with your students. Okay. I think now we have come to the last activity, which is ethical dilemmas. You know, the word ethical means something that is relating to values and manners. And the word dilemmas means big problems. Here I'm asking my students to think about hypothetical ideas or suppositions and what would their reactions be. for example, I can ask my students, if you found 2,000 dinars, for example, or $2,000 on the street, would you keep it? Would you take them for yourself? Okay. Students start thinking, and whether they say, okay, no, I'm not going to keep the money. So I can ask them, the students, what would you do? Are you going to leave the money in the street? He or she would say, no, I would take it to the police station, for example. So I help students to think hypothetically about unexpected or ideas or dilemmas that might come in front of them in their lives. This kind of activity is called ethical dilemmas. Okay. Well, I think that's all for what I have tonight.
Yes,
I
thank you.
hope the idea
Thank
is
you.
quite clear for you. And if you have any questions, I'm ready to listen and try to answer them for you.
Yes, thank you very much. It was so distinctive. Thank you for this useful information. We have or we got a lot of benefits, and also the attendees are so pleased in order that they have joined this webinar, and they thank you a lot, Dr. Moustapha. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks
You are
for
welcome.
our
Thank you.
active attendees also. Now, before questions, I want to share your certificates of appreciation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry, I will share it another time.
Thank you for having me. So pleased to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, the first one is from the Arab English Teachers Association, AETA. We want to grant this certificate of ambassadorship for you, Mr. Moustapha Zaky from Egypt, for your active participation and recognize outstanding contribution for our association. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And congratulations for this. Another certificate is also another certificate of appreciation for or for your recognition and your active participation in our 56th webinar, which was titled The Importance of Critical Thinking, and it is hosted by me, Ms. Shawqia Hawawre from Palestine, the president of this association. Congratulations and thank you very much, Mr. Moustapha Zaky from Egypt, and we hope that you will enjoy that you will join us another time. Thank you, and thanks for our
It's my honor.
attendees. Now,
it's always
thank
my
you
honor
very
to be with
much.
you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's move to
You know,
this short video. Yes.
how can I have my certificate?
Yes, if you fill the form correctly, then go ahead to your email, then you will find your certificate there, okay? I
Okay,
send the
thank
form
you.
for certificate. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Hussein. Thank you for your active participation with others. Thank you. Yes, now
Thanks
if
a
there is
bunch
any question for Mr.
having your
Moustapha.
kindness words.
Thank you very
Thanks a bunch
much.
for having
Let's
your
watch
kind.
this.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hussein. Now, before beginning with asking you questions, let's watch this short video. Then you will go ahead with your questions. Okay. No, sorry. There is a problem in the voice, maybe.
Are you asking me?
Yes, if there is any question, you can go ahead. Please open your mic and ask any question you want. No question? So it is understood. They got the idea from this session. Thank you very much.
Or they
So
haven't
have a
got
good
any.
night.
Okay.
No, they were very pleased through the comments in the chat box. I followed them. They thanked you very much. Please send some emojis in order.
السلام عليكم Mrs. Shawqia.
Yes. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you so much for you, and
Go
thank you so much, Mr. Moustapha, Dr. Moustapha. We are so grateful for such a webinar. And unfortunately, I joined you late and I was driving. I was a little bit distracted, but there is a recording, inshallah, Mrs. Shawqia will give us. We need more webinars because you are the judge. You are the mugs, and we are still thirsty for your knowledge.
No, we are fighting the idea.
It's so great.
We are fighting the idea of jugs and mugs. We are all human beings that have ideas. We have thinking skills, and we share. The idea of sharing
Yes, of course.
together is much more better than somebody has and somebody else doesn't have.
Yes, of course. Miss Bara,
modest.
thank you for your active participation. But inshallah, in Ramadan, we will stop. Then we will, inshallah, go on after Eid al-Fitr بإذن الله. Okay?
إن
إن شاء الله كل عام وأنتم بخير بإذن الله. تقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال. مقدم.
اللهم امين. استاذنكم السلام
آمين.
عليكم عشان الحق صلاه المغرب.
تمام، شكرا، بارك الله فيك. شكرا دكتور، شكرا، بارك الله فيك.
I have a
شكرا.
question, please.
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
My application isn't working. I didn't get the link to the certificate. Can you share it on the
Yes.
Facebook, WhatsApp, please?
No, I can't share it, of course, in the WhatsApp because there are a lot of people who don't attend the session. So I will send it here another time. Then you can fill it as you like. Okay. Now
I
here
didn't
it
have
is.
it.
Yes, now it is in the chat box. I sent it for the last time. Okay, I will wait for one more minute, then I will close the room. Thank you and goodbye. تصبحون على ألف خير.
Told you that my application isn't working, please.
نعم. Sorry.